Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that the situation is treating you all right. We're going to keep going. I'm going to do my best to teach some important concepts through this whole distance learning process. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is a technique called the shell voicing. And this is in the course pack a little bit on the blues sheet, but we haven't talked about it up until now. So it's a way to just kind of break down some of these seventh chords into maybe more approachable little nuggets that are easier to move between. So if we take a blues in, let's say, the key of G, because that's in the course pack, we would normally approach it with full seventh chord shapes, right? So we've got this G, the root on the low E string, G7, C7, and then D7, right? Just a 3-chord blues, 1-4-5 blues. What we're going to do now is apply shell voicings to those exact same chords. So my G7, I'm going to play the root down here on the low E string, and then if you think of this whole chord shape, and you just isolate the 7th on the D string and the 3rd, I'm talking about chord tones now, not frets or strings or anything, right? My 7th and my 3rd of the chord, so we're not going to be playing a 5th in this chord. It's going to be a 3-note 7th chord. If I isolate my root, my 7th and my 3rd, I get a shell voicing. Okay, so now I'm not playing anything on the A string, but I've got the 3rd fret of the low E string, the 3rd fret of the D string, and then the 4th fret of the G string. Okay, that's root, minor 7th, major 3rd. Remember, a dominant 7th chord has a major 3rd, but a minor 7th. Okay, so there's G7 now. Even though there's no 5th, it's still a G7 chord. What I'm going to do now for C7, I'm going to play the root on the A string still, but now I'm going to play the 3rd and then the 7th. So look what that does to my chord tones, right? Here's my 7th and my 3rd of G, and I'm going to move that down a half step and it becomes the 3rd and the 7th of C, right? So G, F, and B, and then C, E, and B flat. So 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, and then 3rd fret of the G string. So now I get this for my blues. Goes back to the 4 chord, and then 2 more bars of the 1 chord. Okay, here's the last 4 bars. Turn around, D7, same as C7, and then G7 to D7. It's the same as my C7 chord, the only difference is that it's 2 frets higher, C to D. So this is a way that you can take the exact same chords you already know, but rather than making them gigantic 6 and 5 string behemoths that are kind of a little hard to get to quickly sometimes, you can really sort of target just the most important chord tones, get to them really quickly and really efficiently. This is really useful when you want to start adding things like chord extensions. For example, adding like a 13th. You might have seen a 13 chord written somewhere somehow. This would be G13, this would be C9. This is a really good one to know, especially if you have any interest in like funk rhythm guitar, for example. This is like the chord. Cool. So that's where we're at with these shell voicings. I want you to maybe start getting comfortable with those, taking them through a blues. You'll find that it makes it a lot easier and faster to think of a blues when you can think of your 3rd and 7th just being half steps apart from each other, right? Here's G7. Now I'm not going to play the root. Here's C7 without the root. Notice that my 3rd and my 7th switch places, right? 7th, 3rd in the G chord, and now 3rd, 7th in my C chord. And then it goes back up here for G, right? And then it goes up another half step for D7. It's kind of fun. It's very close, and it's very effectively voice-led. Even though they're all dominant chords, you can still voice lead dominant chords effectively. So that's what I want you to play around with coming up. I want you to sort of start getting comfortable with that. We're going to start applying some other chord tools like secondary dominant chords, and we're going to start dealing with suspensions as well. Anyways, that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll be posting another one of these soon. Thanks, everyone.